students. Hope you're all doing very fine. I have already shared with you a voiceover for the chapter number 5 of history, and with that we have covered our syllabus for the history, and now we have to move on to geography. So this is a voiceover. This is a tutorial for the second chapter of it, living with the climate. Okay, again, I have told you before, and I'm going to tell you again that while these voiceovers or these videos cover the whole chapter in one go, you guys don't have to follow that. You guys can go with your own pace. You can do 2 pages or 3 pages or one topic or two topics, however many that you can. And whenever our face-to-face session will start, I will try to revise most of it or go through most of it as much as we can, and we will also do the exercises as well. But as you guys know, most of the questions that I include in the assessment, or anyone will include, will come from the creative learning or from the SLO based, all of the SLO based syllabus. So whenever you guys will come to the face to face session, we will go through these topics again. We will go through the exercise again, and we will do all of it again. So right now I'm going to let's start this chapter, beta. So this chapter is about living with the climate. So first of all, what is a climate? There's a difference between weather and climate. Weather is actually the atmospheric conditions of a particular area for a small duration of time, like a year or a month or a few months. But climate is the pattern of weather or the atmospheric conditions that occur during the longer term, like at least for 35 years. At least the weather conditions at a particular area for at least 35 years will be known as the climate of that particular area, and it is usually measured by or studied by meteorologists. Meteorology is the study of climate and weather. Meteorological instruments are used to predict the temperature, as you guys see in your whatever Android device or iPhone device, iOS device that you are using. They have temperature predictions. How does that happen? They use meteorological instruments, and it is done by meteorologists. They calculate different parameters like temperature, precipitation is the rainfall, air pressure, humidity is the moisture in the air or the water content of the air, and other things. So what is an extreme weather? The next topic is extreme weather. What is an extreme weather? Extreme weather is any type of weather that differs from the average or the usual weather pattern. So like we can say that usually the temperature in the winters is usually around in Sialkot, it goes down to like 5 or 2 or 3. But if it goes down below 0, that is not usual. That does not usually happen. So we will say that it is a type of extreme weather. Or you can also say that extreme weather is actually the difference in weather pattern that actually happens, that is very high in intensity. Like there are different weather patterns that can create tornadoes, droughts, and hurricanes. We're going to go through them one by one. So what is a hurricane? A hurricane or a typhoon or a cyclone, these are actually storms over the sea or in the sea. These are when the difference in atmospheric pressures above the sea can create very high winds over a particular localized area, So what happens is the winds actually, due to the difference of atmospheric pressure, the air actually starts to move up or down, or from left to right or east to west, and by doing so they can actually reach speeds of over 120 kilometer per hour. But this is the speed of it inside the hurricane, inside the area where the this particular storm is happening. But this storm physically cannot move very fast. It usually moves very slow. And another thing that is important to consider is that they only happen close to equator or equatorial waters. Like the distance between equator and tropics, this is the area where the hurricanes or the cyclones usually happen. Why is that? Because I have just told you that they occur due to the difference of atmospheric pressure. So how does atmospheric pressure gradient is developed? So what happens is, we know that the sun falls directly on equator and its surrounding areas like the tropics. So what happens is, the air over the ocean, it actually heats up, and the hot air always moves. Excuse me, students, I have been sick due to smoke. So that is why I urge you guys to remain indoors and do not go outside. So what happens is, the air heats up due to that sun rays, and it starts to move up. It starts to move up, and when it goes up, the temperature at altitude is always colder, so it starts to condense. So what happens is, a whirlpool is created. A whirlpool is actually that water going round and round, or the air going round and round, and this creates a storm. That is why they only happen around the equator as well. And they have actually told us about the coordinates of that particular area as well. 5 degree and 20-degree north or south, these are roughly approximately equal to the tropics of the globe. So along with the equator, there are also two other imaginary lines. One is the tropic of Cancer and one is tropic of Capricorn. I urge you all to open your atlas, and you can actually locate these two lines over there as well. One is just below Pakistan's coastline as well. I think it's tropic of Cancer. So you guys are also urged to open your atlas and see that as well. So there have been some very popular hurricanes in the past as well. One of the most you can say the most popular or most well known hurricane was the Hurricane Katrina, that actually came in the uh, Gulf of Mexico, on the coast of United States, on the southern coast of United States. It actually significantly impacted New Orleans. It's a city in United States. I urge you guys to Google Hurricane Katrina and further discuss about all the information that you can get. But a brief information has also been given on our book. It has told us how many people died. Almost 1,300 people died, with 500,000 people becoming homeless. It had very very worse political impacts on United States recent history as well. It caused a lot of damage. You can get that information not only on Google but on your books as well. The second type of extreme weather is droughts. So what are droughts? Droughts are actually very dry period where the rainfall is almost zero or very low than the usual. uh, Droughts not only actually impact the rainwater, they also impact the water reservoirs as well. Like if there are less rains, then there might be less water in the rivers as well. Or the water table of the groundwater can also start to go down. So drought is the uh, systematic absence of water. So if there is no water, there can be no crops, and if there are no crops, there will be famine. So that is why droughts are very extreme. The last significant drought in Pakistan was in the 2000 and 2001. It actually started from 1998 to 2002. It actually impacted the Balochistan province of Pakistan, and it was one of the worst droughts that we have experienced in our recent history. The other thing that we have been experiencing almost very frequently are floods. So floods are completely opposite of droughts. Floods are actually the systematic abundance of water. So the water becomes too much and cannot be contained by the water reservoirs like rivers and other things. So what it does, it comes out of its reservoirs. It comes out of its wherever it was contained, and it starts to damage all the crops and all the property. So it is almost reverse of the droughts. It's almost too much water. Pakistan has been experiencing floods almost regularly, and one of the worst floods in our recent history was in 2010. It covered almost 20% of Pakistan's uh, territory was underwater. Okay, so other extreme weathers are extreme hot spells and extreme cold spells. So what are hot spells and cold spells? Hot spells are basically an a duration of time when the temperature is consistently high, which can actually cause dehydration and exhaustion and sunburns and other things. It can also cause wildfires in the ocean as well, in the forests as well. Why? Because not only the hot spells are very high in temperature, they are also very dry. Most of the time, they are very dry. And again, when the hot spells occur, then we know that the hotter it gets, the hotter the air will get, and the air will start to rise above. And once again, it can cause storms. And extreme cold spells are complete opposite of it. They are actually duration of a period of time where the temperature falls significantly over a specific time. So what they cause, they actually cause the complete opposite of it. They actually cause a lot of ice and heavy snow, and that also has many other it can give rise to other situations, like it can cause hypothermia or influenza, or again, extreme hot spells and extreme cold spells, none of them, both of them are very bad for the human population. So now, after studying these extreme weathers, now we should study about the climatic zones of the world. So there are five or six main climatic zones of the world. Most of the earth is divided into these climatic zones. So the first one is tropical. These are hot and humid areas, and they are around the equator. We have already discussed in our class what an equator is, and we know that sun falls directly on the equator throughout the year. So throughout the year, the temperature in those areas is actually hot and very humid. Humid means full of moisture and almost rainy throughout the year. And in fact, the temperature extremes are actually higher between night and day than they are between the different seasons. So there is only one consistent season in tropical areas, and that's summer. The next is the arid climatic zones. So the arid climatic zones are basically the type of climatic zones that do not receive a lot of rainfall. Most of them are very have high temperatures as well, although some of them also have extreme cold temperatures as well. The Mediterranean tropical areas are they have summers that are dry and hot, but they have winters that are also a lot cooler, but also a lot they receive a lot of rainfall in the winter as well. Most of these areas are around Mediterranean Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea actually influences that particular area as well. So the next climatic zone is that the temperate climatic zones. These actually have mild summers and not very cool winters, but they can receive rainfall in either of the seasons as well. Similarly, continental climates are actually found in the areas that are actually very far from the sea. The winters are very cold and short, and summers are hot and they are long. You can say that the dominant season in continental climate is summer, and the dominant season in the temperate climate is actually the winters. And polar areas, as we know, are extreme cold areas that are located at the both poles of the earth, at both north pole and south pole. On page number 21, you can actually see a map of the different climatic zones of the world as well. So after discussing about the climatic regions of the world, we should also discuss about the climatic regions of Pakistan. There are three dominant climatic regions of Pakistan, but you should understand one thing as well, that the territory of the world or of the globe is too damn big. So while two vastly opposing areas, like you can see on the map that Canada and Siberia both have polar climate, but the local geographical features can significantly alter the different features of that particular climate as well. That is why in Pakistan, the three climatic regions are also further divided into many different climatic regions as well. So, like we have highlands or mountains at north of Pakistan. We also have mountains at northwest of Pakistan as well. But the highland, that the mountains at the north of the Pakistan actually receive a lot more rainfall than the western mountains, which is why the highlands are actually considered in the humid environment. The northern mountains are actually considered under the humid environment, while the western mountains are actually considered under the semi-arid mountains, semi-arid climatic areas. So this is also something that should be kept in mind. You can also see a map on page number 22 that differentiates the different geographical features of Pakistan as well. Like the arid, semi-arid, and humid. The main feature of arid climate is that the summers are very warm, winters are mild, and they do not receive a lot of rainfall as well. These are the areas that are actually located in the extreme south of Pakistan, like the Thar Desert and the southern plain of Pakistan, Indus plain of Pakistan, and Balochistan is Kharan Desert in Balochistan. Then there is the semi arid population, that is most of the Indus River plain, and then there are humid climate that includes most of the, in fact, the uh, in fact, our local climate in Sialkot is also a very humid climate. We are one of the regions of Pakistan that receives the most rainfall. So now there is also a comparison between the climates of the city of Karachi and city of New York. So why has this comparison been made? Because both of them are coastal cities, which is and however, since while most both of these cities are coastal, their climatic differentiation or climatic distinction is also different. So, like Karachi is under moderating arid climate, while New York is under subtropical humid environment. But since both of them are located close to the sea actually performs a moderating effect on both of them. So what happens is Karachi receives most of its rainfall due to monsoon in the summers, while New York receives most of its rainfall in the winters. So there is the brief comparison in topography and latitude, effect of altitude. New York has a very low altitude elevation, while Karachi has a very medium elevation. It does not have a very high elevation, but it is higher than New York's. And again, you can actually contrast the temperature as well. There are different climatic data that they have given on page number 24 as well. You can also compare that, and this is just a comparison of two different areas. There is no particular point that they are trying to give you. They're just trying to uh, they're I think they're trying to tell you about the difference of uh, climate under the same distinction. Like I told you before that the territories are so vast that two areas under the same distinction can have very different characters. That's what they have compared. So now let's come to the other impacts of climate that we are causing or are inadvertently been caused by us or have a very significant impact on us. This is global warming. So what does that mean? It means the gradual or systematic heating up of the planet. So like there is a consensus among scientists that every century is adding 1 degree Celsius to the average temperature of the Earth. So like the average temperature of Earth is actually rising every year. Why? because of the greenhouse gases. So what is a greenhouse effect? So what happens is the sun rays fall on earth, and while most of them are reflected back, some of the reflected back rays are actually trapped inside of the earth. Why are they trapped? They are trapped because of gases, greenhouse gases like CO2 and NO3 and other gases. They can actually trap those rays. They do not let them reflect back, and since they have trapped them, they are in the earth's atmosphere, and they start to raise the temperature of the earth's uh, atmosphere as well. So the more the greenhouse gases, the more sun rays will be trapped, and the more temperature will rise, and it will heat up the earth more and more. So this is a direct or a very quasi direct impact of the greenhouse gases. In fact, this effect has been also discussed in your book as well, and this particular effect is actually used to grow a lot of crops in the colder areas like the Scandinavian countries as well. They actually create their gardens and then put a very that transparent plastic sheet that you guys put on your books or your notebooks. They actually do that over that garden, and whenever the sun rays come and fall on the garden, some of them are reflected back, but that plastic sheet, it actually traps some of the heat. That is exactly what greenhouse gases like CO2 and NO3 are doing to the earth's atmosphere, and this is causing the climate of the earth to change significantly. In fact, climate change is actually not very new thing. Earth's climate has never stayed the same. After every 10,000 or 15,000 years, that climate has a very significant shift. Very significant shift is noted in the climate. So how many of you would have no, I'm actually going on that spree again, where I ask you questions and you guys participate in the class. But since we cannot do this in this voiceover, I will tell you that how many of you guys have seen that movie, that Ice Age movie. It actually is that interglacial period. So what are interglacial periods? These are basically ice ages where the climate of the earth actually becomes very cold. It comes in intervals. In fact, before there were dinosaurs, that climate of the earth was actually very hot. uh, well, not very hot like there was lava or magma. It was so hot and so hot and humid that there were the insects were growing like 6 feet tall. Why? Because that particular environment is favorable to insects. This particular climate is actually, this the ones in which we are living, is actually more favorable to mammals. That's why the lot of dominant species on the earth are actually mammalian. So there have been this climate change or this global warming. It has been caused by both natural factors and by human factors. I have already told you about natural factors. In fact, let me give you another example or another perspective. There was during the history of our planet, earth was actually the orbit it is revolving in, it was actually much closer to the sun as well, which was also the cause of the rise of temperature. Because since it was closer to earth, the sun rays took less time to come to earth, and the temperature was higher. That was also one of the natural factors. In fact, on your next page, on page number 26, they have told you about all of the different natural causes, and most significant of them is solar input and eruption of volcanoes. Because eruption of volcanoes will also dump a lot of heat in the atmosphere that is currently being enclosed by the crust of the earth. So these are the two main dominant factors, two main dominant natural factors. uh, the other factors are human factors. These are this is the industrialization or the burning of fuels and use of pesticides, and the pavement of roads. In fact, pavement of roads is actually very counterproductive to the natural climate. Why? Because most of the pavement is actually non-porous. So what does non-porous mean? Non-porous means that water cannot go through it, and since water cannot go through it, it cannot um, cool it down. You know that whenever you put water over something, it cools that particular thing down. Why? Because that temperature, that water is going to evaporate from the surface, and when it evaporates, it takes away some of its heat. But it cannot do that when the road is paved or the other things are paved, which can also cause the increase of temperature. In fact, there is this fact in your book as well, that temperatures in a city can be 5 degrees higher than in the surrounding rural areas. In fact, many of you might have experienced it as well, that the temperature around your schools is very is usually colder, while when you go to the, if you live in the cities and you go to these cities, if you go to the the denser part of the city and you go to those areas, they are actually hotter. While the the Kent area, where there are a lot of trees and lot of natural vegetation, there are a lot colder and lot chillier. So these are the reasons, the two main factors, natural factors and human factors, that can cause the global temperature to rise. The pollution also has a lot of impact on climate, as we have already established that burning of fossil fuels actually create uh, those greenhouse gases. It increases the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and resultantly they will capture more of the sun rays, and they will increase the temperature of the earth. Furthermore, the rising temperature of the earth can also cause a drop in the crop yield as well, which is also again very counterproductive. And other impact of it can be the melting of ice. So why is that a big issue? Now let me tell you something. The total amount of water on earth is 70%. So if and the land is only like the 30% or 29% of it, so why does the water not cover all of the earth? It can actually cover all of the earth or most of the earth. In fact, many areas like the Indus Plain, they were once part of the ocean, and we have actually archaeological and meteorological evidence, or geological evidence of it, that the Indus Valley itself was part of the ocean. So what happened? So what happened was, most of this water actually solidified. It became ice, and was concentrated on the poles in North Pole and South Pole. So they have a lot of glaciers, and these glaciers are actually you can say that water has been stacked one layer over the other, and a lot of space has been saved due to it. So if all of these glaciers or start to melt, the ocean will have more water. The ice will melt into water, that water will go into the oceans, and oceans will have more water, and they will start to rise up. They will start to rise up, and all the low lying areas around the seas, they will be overrun by the water. So that is why melting of ice is actually a very big thing. There are a lot of other impacts as well, as you can see on page number 28. Change in weather pattern. Many If you talk to your elders or your parents, some of you will be told that the rains are not happening in their usual season. They are actually happening a lot later. In fact, many will tell you that in November we were used to wearing hoodies and jackets, but right now the temperature is not that extreme that you have to wear them. You can wear them if you want, but you don't have to wear them, because the weather patterns are changing. That is also an impact of climate change. And many of you would have seen in the news that a lot of wildfires are actually happening more and more frequently, all over the globe and in Pakistan as well. In fact, Suleiman Range and Kirtha Range are the regions where wildfires actually happen regularly. Furthermore, the tropical cyclones or the hurricanes are also more frequent now than they used to be before. This all when the all climate started to change and everything. That hurricanes or cyclones, they are much more frequent now. That is also because of changing climate. And we have actually witnessed heat waves in Pakistan in 2022, 23, in 24. In all of the years we have actually witnessed some heat waves. In fact, a lot of people actually die because of heat waves in Pakistan. And all of these things actually cause a lot of economic loss, economic, and well, all of these extreme weathers and climatic change, it is actually causing the infrastructure to fall apart, and other actions that we are trying to take in order to mitigate its impact, all of that costs money, and they are actually considered as net losses for the economy. And since this climatic change is actually causing a lot more diseases as well. In fact, many have pointed out that the spread of coronavirus in Wuhan was actually might have been the reason of climatic change. How? Because the bat that they say that was actually infected, or the patient zero that was infected by the bat, he actually only became infected because the temperature of that particular area had risen, and the virus or the bacteria that caused that particular virus actually did not die. Why? Because the temperature were high, and it could sustain life even after the bat was dead. So that can actually be considered as the first major such event that actually happened due to climatic change. There is not a lot of evidence to back it up right now, but as more and more studies will continue, we might get to the truth of it. Furthermore, the climatic change is also resulting in loss of biodiversity. For example, if the climatic change can actually make many places uninhabitable, many of you might have seen these documentaries about penguins. So where do these penguins make nest? Over the ice, and if ice is melting, they will not have a lot of areas to nest and raise their young ones. So what will happen? They will eventually go extinct. In fact, almost like I don't really can remember the number of it, but many some of the species have actually already gone extinct because of the climatic change and loss of habitat. So these were the general impacts of the loss of the climatic change or the climate change. Now, if we come to Pakistan, then Pakistan is one of the top countries that are impacted by climate change. And why is that? The most important reason is the monsoon wind system of Pakistan is actually completely dependent on the climate. How is that so? So I have already told you how does storms happen. So what happens in during the summer, the land and ocean, they both absorb what heat at different rate. Land becomes hotter a lot faster than water will become hot. So when in the summers, when the sun rays fall on Pakistan starts to heat up much more quickly than other than the oceans around it, like the most of Indian Ocean. Pakistan, the land of Pakistan will heat up at a much faster rate, and it will heat up the air over it as well. This will decrease, and the air will, of course, the hotter air will always move up, and this will decrease the air pressure over Pakistan. But the ocean is not heating up that fast. The air pressure on the ocean is still low, is still high. So what will happen is the wind will start to compensate the pressure, and wind will start to move from the ocean towards the Pakistan and towards the land over Pakistan, and this will cause the monsoon rains to happen, and most of Pakistan's seasons and climate is actually revolves around the monsoon winds. So since the climate change can impact this particular circulation of air. That is why Pakistan is very much affected by the climate change. And in order to mitigate the impacts of climate change, we need to have sustainable climate action. In fact, this is sustainable climate action is actually a part of those sustainable development goals that I told you to write in your books, write in your notebooks, and I don't think many of you have done it. So I'm going to give you an assignment of it, that I want you to write an essay on the sustainable development goals and how they relate to the climate action. There are in fact a lot of sustainable development goals that actually are specifically are about the climate action. And this is a type of your homework, and all of you have to do it. Okay, beta. Again, you don't have to completely cover the whole chapter in one sitting. You don't have to do that. I have already told you that you must take your time. If you can do 2 pages, you should do 2 pages. If you can do 3 topics, you should do 3 topics. But if you have any questions regarding it, I am available at any time. You can ask me any question at any time of the day. You don't have to wait for the lecture or during the school timings. You can also ask me after the school as well. And I know that we have not completed the exercises of our chapters of history, or this one as well. And I am leaving it for our face to face session. And we will do it then, beta. Okay, beta, Allah Hafiz.